About 3 weeks ago, Rakim called CPS on me when I went out of town for a short trip because he said he was left alone with drugs and alcohol. CPS saw straight through his lies.
She thought I called CPS on her because she wouldn't send me $20. I called because I was asking for resources and they just wanted my parents' names. So I gave it to them, of course.
You are an impressive young man.
Thank you.
But things deteriorate. I mean, here's a video of what goes on sometimes that Joselyn recorded in an argument with her son that took place just a week ago over him taking his mom's phone without her permission.
I can't hold you to anything. If I can't hold you to anything, how do you expect me to hold you to anything?
Rakim, every time I ask you to do something, there's always something. And then you come sneaking in my room in the middle of the night and you take my phone. If you wanted a question for something, you can wake me up and ask me. You don't have the right to come into my room and take my things. And then I tell you to give me the phone and you won't give it to me?
And you wonder why I don't want to.
You don't deserve a phone.
Doctor, I'm looking for the adult in this conversation. What was your reaction to this video?
Exactly the same thing. With like what we need to do is keep on that we're the one in charge, yes, but we also need to be calm and cool. The thing that I think we also need to do is take the breath before we start speaking to our kids so we don't react, we respond.
Now, you feel like your mother moves the target on you, right?
With the whole computer thing, I feel that she just keep moving the goalposts because she said, get your grades up, get them to at least a D. So I did that. And she was like, well, it's more than just your grades. You got to start being more respectful. And I'm like, okay. So I try to start being more respectful. Eventually it starts working. And then she keeps moving the goalposts like, oh, no, you'll get your stuff back after Dr. Phil. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like,
yeah. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to agree with you on the nonverbal signal. I have been trying to teach Rakim that since he was 2 years old, and he refuses to listen. He doesn't follow direction, ever. He never has.
You had each of them fill out a questionnaire for 150 different items, and you were looking at core assets. Explain.
Well, what we know is that one of the best ways to create a relationship with our kids is to look for what they're good at as opposed to what their weaknesses are. What I had is 150 assets that are common that we see in kids, then each of them looked at it, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Across the board, mom's gonna fill out what she thinks about her son. He's gonna fill out what he agrees are his strengths. They're not seeing them. Then we put them together out of 150. How many of these match up? Only 5. And out of hundreds of times I've done this, I've never seen this low of being able to figure out, here's what you have in common. The fascinating thing is the 5, you could see many of these already in the audience would identify. He's independent, he's friendly, he has a good vocabulary, he's a speaker. The first thing we've got to do is start looking at what are the other things to build his strength up, because if you want confidence in a kid, or at least relationship with a kid, you got to start with a little bit of the positive. Every kid needs to feel safe, accepted, and respected. I think that's lying real dormant with this kid right now.
So this is the lowest you've seen?
This is the lowest I have seen.
she doesn't like that I act like my father. I'm not intentionally acting like her father just to anger her.
I don't have a relationship with Rakim's father right now. I get angry with Rakim because he talks to me as though he is his father. And he speaks down to me like he's my authority figure. I have no idea how to communicate to him not to speak to me in this way, because it just makes both of us at odds from the beginning, and we're not gonna get anywhere with that.
Well, my team reached out to Rakim's father, Robert, to give his side of this. Robert agreed and joins us now via Skype from Oregon. So thank you so much for being here, Robert.
How's it going, Phil?
Pretty good. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Well, first off, she is lying by omission. She openly mocks the kid. She will not respect him, says she doesn't have to respect him because he's a child. You know, we were trying to co-parent him. We were doing pretty good. And then she just stopped, right? In December, suddenly it wasn't a priority anymore. She told me that my voice grated on her nerves. And I'm trying to tell her this isn't about us, this is about him. You know, she's not trying to make things better for him. She's trying to make things better for her. You know, she went after him with a hammer and broke all his stuff. That's not something she should be doing, and she knows that.
I want to ask Joselyn about that because I got a picture of a smashed screen. Rakim says his mother Joselyn took a hammer to this and smashed it so you couldn't use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sure did. I smashed it with a hammer. Let me back up. He has a $3,000 computer that I financed and just paid off.
Is that the one you smashed with a hammer?
No, I didn't smash it yet. Because he took the computer that I had already taken away from him out of my room. We were literally tussling over it. He is falling on top of it over his bed, trying not to take back something that I had already taken from him. He is not the adult. I am reprimanding him for not doing what he's not doing. Who is he to take anything?
You're
He
not
doesn't recognize
defending
that either.
getting into a wrestling match and taking a hammer to a monitor.
No, I'm not defending it at all, but I'm not apologizing for it either.
Okay.
You keep reacting, you're never going to get responses. Unfortunately, there's no takebacks when it comes to parenting. You got to get this one right now.
And Robert, you say she goes after him with a hammer?
Yeah, she couldn't get her way, and she threw a temper tantrum, basically. That's what she does. She's extremely capricious.
And you agree that some of Rakim's behavior is not acceptable, right?
Oh, yeah, I've talked to him about his behavior, but she refuses to recognize her role in the situation. You can't openly mock a kid and disrespect him and then expect him to respect you. What kind of example are you showing him by disrespecting him?
Do you focus on some of those positives that we talked about?
No, I don't.
So what are you good at?
Trying to think of something other than video games, 'cause that's like something easy to be good at. But
It bothers me that it took you so long to come up with things you're good at. And that's not all that uncommon, sadly. And you need to recognize that you don't have to love everything about someone to love them.
I had to take her phone away recently when we saw some disturbing text messages. It was a group text where they were talking about inappropriate things. One was a picture of a dog and a stripper, and another was a text about weed, and another was a text with a knife emoji. So my reaction to that was I was freaked out. They were very disturbing.
Your mom says you're angry.
Yeah.
And you heard me say that anger is really just an outward manifestation that people show when their feelings are hurt, or they're afraid, or they're frustrated that they can't seem to get things going the way they want them to go. What is it with you?
I get annoyed very easily because, like, with homework or when I just want to be alone and I don't get left alone, then I will snap for some reason, and I don't really know what it is with me. It just happens.
So frustration.
Yeah.
You're easily frustrated. Okay. What do you do that gives you a chance in your life right now to get rewards? Things that really light you up, that are fun, that if you know if I do this, it could really pay me off.
I honestly don't know. I would like watch a favorite TV show, or I would go surfing once a week as a reward for doing my homework. That's what I do.
And how do you feel when you do that? If you go surfing, what's the payoff for you?
It gets rid of some of the stress for that couple of minutes or hours. And so I wouldn't like snap immediately after surfing, because I got to do something that's fun and that I do like to do. So
When you started back after things started to loosen back up, do you think you had a panic attack?
yeah, I do think I had a panic attack, because whenever I saw the floor, I started getting anxious. I started breathing heavy, and I had to like literally take a moment to breathe and calm down before I tried to do it.
Dr. Borba, you have some action steps for both of these parents because both of them want their children to excel. Both of them want their children to succeed. Joselyn, you want to see Rakim.
I'd love to be able to see good things in him, but anything I ask of him is not done to completion. Just not done to completion. I can't reward that.
Dr. Borba, go ahead.
Behavior's learned, and it can be unlearned. Thrivers are made, not born. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a makeover plan that it's 5 R's. They're real simple. And the first one is recognize just the one little problem behavior. One, no more than two. And the second thing is, what are you gonna replace it with? I'd say it right now, the most important thing is surfing's great, but boy, you can't do that every single day in every place. So what are you gonna do to be able to get rid of that stress the moment it hits? And you're very good, by the way, of knowing where your stress is. You were able to identify, you felt it in your stomach, you could feel your heart rate coming on. So what you're gonna teach her is to replace it with what I call a 1-2 breathing. It's so simple. The moment you start to feel that stress, you take a deep, slow breath from real temp in your tummy, like you're riding up an elevator. Get to the very top and hold it, and slowly let it out. That sounds so simple. I learned that from Navy SEALs, the most elite forces in the world. They said the key is the exhale is twice as long as the inhale, doesn't cost a dime. You practice that over and over and over again. That's number 2. Mom, now you're gonna respond. Be calm with your response. Empathize. I know this is hard, sweetie. I know it's hard, but I assure her it's gonna get better. Let's track how often you're trying it. Let's keep going with it. You're reinforcing the good behavior, not the bad time. And what'll happen is if you remain resolute with this, and it usually happens around 21 days of you and her practicing it together, what'll happen is she now has one new coping strategy she can use anytime, any place, and it'll kick in the moment. We gotta help kids keep that stress down, Dr. Phil. That's the big thing. It's just overwhelming us all, and it's impacting every part of their lives.
A question for you. She mentioned empathize. Do you think you empathize with Rakim?
I don't try to anymore because he doesn't empathize with me at all. And it seems like he purposefully does things to be at odds with me. And I know it's probably because he's seeking negative attention, because I don't give him any positive attention, because he doesn't do anything positive for me to give him positive attention for.
It's not okay to say, I don't try to empathize with my child. You need to empathize with your child. And you say, well, he doesn't empathize with me. Well, you're the adult. You need to lead by example. You said, I can't reward something that is not acceptable. You need to broaden your definition of what's acceptable, because this is a young man, this is a young girl here that they need encouragement. They need not pressure, but just encouragement. And give yourselves acknowledgement too. You've done a lot of right things, Mom. You've done a lot of right things here, or you wouldn't have this young man sitting across from you. You can't give up here, and you're kind of saying, I've just kind of written it off. That's not an option. I'm sorry. There's no window where you go and resign.
Yeah, I know.
Your enthusiasm is underwhelming. What do you want to say, Rakim?
Like I've been suggesting ways that could probably help fix things or make things just easier for the both of us. And then she's like, no, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Basically, like.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
Okay, Dr. Borba, we've got to stop today, but final comment.
Final comment, we're so stressed as parents that sometimes what we do is we get ourselves overwhelmed. I think our biggest mistake is inconsistency or not enough follow through. I would suggest find one behavior. you want to really change one little behavior and track your own behavior and how often are you doing it every day for at least 21 days. It's simple little things that add up, and that's what they can make a major difference on our children's lives. It's not easy. It's not easy. But this is the one thing we've got to do right. We've only got this one moment to be the parent, and our kids are hurting, so we got to turn this around.
Yeah, and Kira, be patient with yourself.
Yeah, Kira.
Because you're going to come along just fine. You just need to be patient with yourself.
Kira's biggest passion was her cheerleading once COVID happened. She was paralyzed by fear.
I started getting anxious. I started breathing heavy.
He has a $3,000 computer.
Is that the one you smashed with a hammer?
When it comes to parenting, you got to get this one right now.
New Dr. Phil. Check your local listings.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.